matter of fact, it is the best analysis that you were going to get.
Of course. I knew that going in.
But why do you hate him so much?
He sucks.
Couldn't believe he was +6.
I know.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Awesemo.com NBA strategy show presented by No House Advantage. I'm Dave Loughran. Hit your boy up on the Twitters at Laffy_D, LOUGHY_D. And while you're over there, hit up my guy, Josh Engleman, joining me once again. We're doing this all week long, baby. Hopefully, we'll do this throughout the week because, well, the LA Clippers are resilient. They're a good basketball team. They keep pushing forward. I told you they weren't going to lay down yesterday, and that's exactly what happened. They did not lay down. They pulled out a victory, a 14-point victory, Josh. They're not going away quietly into the night, I'll tell you that much.
Now, we're probably going to need Marcus Morris to not make every shot to start a game because that was sort of the difference. Like it got played pretty neutral second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, but the Clippers just simply couldn't miss. I thought the Suns were getting really good shots in the first quarter. They just weren't making them against the zone. And after that, they just couldn't seem to put it all together. It was a very frustrating game to watch. It went really, really, really well for me in a DFS standpoint. From a bets perspective, not as awesome. And obviously I expected the Suns to just simply win the game. I also didn't, we talked about it on the show. I said, Nick Batum and Marcus Morris could play 70 minutes together today, or they could play 40 minutes together. And I don't really have any confidence. They played 69 minutes yesterday, which is what I thought they should have been doing the entire time. And as you can see, it worked out really, really well for them when they can switch everything. I'm really curious to see what happens for game 6.
I'm very much looking forward to it as well. You're going to call me crazy. I think the Clippers can win this series.
I mean, I don't think you're crazy. We're talking 25% chance, something like that.
It's not the craziest. Here's the thing, right? And you're right. The Suns missed a lot of shots. And of course the Clippers were knocking down just at a very high clip. But the Clippers in those games where they lost by 1 or 2 possessions were missing a ton of shots and free throws. And so it all balances itself out. Right. And This is a lot more evenly matched series than I think you would have expected just by going into it at 3-1. The Clippers now have a plus 17-point differential on the series, which is pretty crazy in its own right. It's possible they come back to LA and knot this up. Now, could the Suns just finish it in game 6? No doubt about it. But the fact of the matter is, this is a very, very even series. And when someone said, when I tweeted yesterday that they're now plus 17, someone goes, well, that's a silly stat, but I like it. It's not a silly stat. It shows you that at no point in time have the Clippers ever been out of a game. At no point in time have the Clippers ever looked like they were in a spot, even though our own producer, Jordan Klein, goes into last night saying they've given up. It's over. I've lost all hope. They suck. He said, I'm not even a fan anymore. He didn't say that part, but you get the point. I think game 6 is going to be awesome.
Yeah, the people, whoever says it's a silly stat, that is a silly statement to make. There is no better predictor of future results than point differential. In this case, the point differential is the Clippers positively. Now, 16 or 10 or 5 or whatever is largely irrelevant over 5 games. What we're talking about is a completely neutral series. But you can't get bogged down on the results of those games. The point differential tells a bigger story.
Yeah, because
and it's not like they got it because they won one of the games by 40 either. They won game, whatever the hell game they won at the beginning of the series. It's not like they won by such an astronomical amount that it offset 3 other games. It was bigger than those other 3, but it wasn't. It was 12, 14, something
14,
like that.
Yeah.
So their 2 wins have been low double-digit wins. The 3 losses have been minimal at best. It's a close series, man. It's a close series. They dug a hole, though. You got to win.
Right. And generally speaking, when we talk about point differential, when you score more points, you win more games. Right. So, like you said, it can be skewed if you have a 40-point blowout and you've lost all of the other games, but not if you've lost all of the other games by 1 or 2 points, or 3 points. And that's kind of what it comes down to. So I'm pretty excited about this one going into game 6. I nailed the Paul George prop over 9.5 rebounds. We got it at plus money earlier in the day. The Zubats news didn't hurt at all, right? Beat the closing line value on that. He had 12. Ayton finished with 11. I had him over 11.5. That kind of sucked. But also bet the Clippers money line. So that was a strong one. Aside from that, though, DFS was solid, profitable. You said you had a nice night in DFS.
I did. Cash lineup was absolutely awesome. 3x'd in GPPs. I can't complain. Not enough Cam Johnson.
Yeah, Cam Johnson, actually a pretty decent game off the bench. And morning to all of you guys as well. We're happy to have you with us. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe to the channel. And last night's Live Before a Lot. I hope you guys tune in for that. We had a blast yesterday.
We did.
On Live Before a Lot. Most viewers we've had in a while. People joining the team Awesemo left and right. And it was a wild one. Josh banning people that super chatted us. You can't make it up, Josh.
It's just not true. It's just not true at all. Wasn't true.
I still want to know who did that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I think they're like everybody logged into that one. It could have been anybody.
It certainly could have. Anyway, it was a fun game. It was a really fun game. And I think I think we go 7 games. I really do. I think the Clippers knotted up and we go 7. What do you say right now? Prediction: over in 6 or over in 7, and who wins?
Suns win over in 6.
Okay. All right. 4-2.
Yeah. I'm not comfortable with that at all. It's also what I want to happen. I don't want the Clippers to win the series if Kawhi Leonard can't come back.
I actually do.
Well,
why
enjoy being wrong.
Why don't you?
Because it's not as fun. I want teams to be at full strength. I don't want one of the 3 best players on the planet to not be available for a finals. That's just, it's not satisfying to me.
I'm all about the underdog story. So that's why I have a different opinion than you. I'm all about
I'm pretty sure the Suns are still the underdog story if they make the finals. Chris Paul's never made a finals.
It doesn't make him an underdog.
I mean, he'll be the underdog in the finals if they make the finals.
So will the Clippers.
Yes,
for sure. Unless Atlanta
they should
gets
be, because
there.
they're going to get their asses handed to them. They have no chance against the Bucks.
Who, the Clippers?
Yeah, that is just a dreadful, dreadful matchup for them.
Yeah, guess what? I pretty much refuse to give the Bucks any leeway at this point. I can't do it. Like I can't do it. They should beat the Clippers handily, but
yeah.
Either way, ABC and the NBA are not going to be stoked if it's. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier. If it's
all bad.
If it was like Suns Hawks or Clippers without Kawhi and Hawks, I'm not sure people would. I'm not sure more than 100 people would watch it. And they all play DFS or bet.
I'm super surprised that David Porter has a terrible take. Never see that in chat. Suns are not the underdogs. Well, that'll just be factually incorrect in no time flat if the Suns make the finals.
Well, if you're talking about this series, they're not, and they shouldn't.
Well, no, they're not the underdogs now, but the Suns are the underdogs in the finals if they're playing the Bucks, and not by a little bit.
By a little bit, for sure. Definitely by a little bit.
I think it's a lot more than you think it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Nah. You think the Suns against the Bucks in the finals, they're big dogs? I think they're dogs. I don't think they're big dogs.
I mean, depends on our definition of big here.
All right, game 1 spread. I don't know where it would be. Let's just
Phoenix,
say it's
right?
Just say it's in. No,
I
Phoenix
think it's
had
in
a better
Phoenix.
record. Yeah,
I think it's in Phoenix. Let me just double check it. Milwaukee 46 wins. Yeah, Phoenix 51. So I think the Bucks would be 1-point favorite.
1-point favorite.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
Yeah, I could see it being close to a pick'em even, which it is at 1 point. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was a pick'em. All right, so Suns at home, you give them around 3.5. Or Bucks at home, you give them They lay around 3.5, 4.
Yeah, sounds about right to me.
Okay, that's fair.
Like Phoenix, 6.2 point differential in the regular season. Milwaukee, 5.5. I think that looks a little bit better for Milwaukee being able to play Giannis, 40 minutes a game instead of 31 or whatever the hell he was playing during the regular season. I don't think they're dogs if they play Milwaukee. Well, you'll be wrong, David. I promise.
I don't think you're wrong that they'd be dogs. I don't think they'd be big dogs in a spot like that. That's all I'm saying. I think they've proven themselves.
If I'm right and the Milwaukee is a favorite in Phoenix in game 1, assuming that this goes that way, like to me, that's a big dog. If you're not favored in the first game of the series at home, to me, you're a pretty big dog in the series.
All right.
Now, so we're talking semantics in the way that we're describing it.
Put the Bucks at like minus 220 then, minus 240.
Right at that 200 mark, I think.
Yeah, any more than that seems like a lot.
Yeah, like for you to think the series is a pick'em, you have to think that Phoenix is like a 2-point favorite at home in game 1, and I don't think that that's going to be the case.
Well, there's a very good chance we're going to see that, unless, of course, the Milwaukee Bucks have a dreadful collapse and the Atlanta Hawks end up taking this one deep into the series and winning it. But at this rate, Josh, I simply don't see it happening. They're overpowered. They're outmatched. All of the Hawks fans, I think, are very soon. And watch it comes back, and I eat my words again because the Hawks were down 2-1 to the Sixers. But watching these games, the Bucks are just a markedly better team. And game 1 was ugly. They lost by 3. They came back out in game 2. At one point, they were up by like 45 points or something absurd. Chris Middleton had a huge fourth quarter in game 3. Game 2, and then game 3 they won by 11. And then Trae Young is dealing with that bruised right foot. Who knows how that's going to impact them. At this rate, you said you got the Hawks winning 2 games in this series. Do you still believe that? Because I could see this being a 4-1. Now, I will say the Hawks have been the one team that I haven't been able to get right all postseason. Even against the Knicks, I thought, going into game 4, the Knicks would get a win. They didn't. I'm very much open-minded to the idea that I will be wrong again when it comes to Atlanta.
Yeah, if I were taking anything, it would be the Bucks to win the next 2 games. I'm not super confident Atlanta gets another one, especially with Trae Young being dinged up a little bit. By the way, current team futures: Bucks minus 114 to win the title, Suns plus 160. I think that's kind of interesting considering the Bucks only have 2 wins in this series, where the Suns are a win away from the finals. So for the Bucks to still be out in front of them, obviously Clippers are better than the Hawks, but to me, it is interesting that the Bucks are still that much ahead of Phoenix, even with Phoenix having a game in hand.
I don't think it's all that crazy.
I don't think it's crazy because I think the Bucks are better than the Suns. But
right.
Like to me, that knowing that the Suns only need 1 win, where the Bucks technically need 2, I think that's a decent enough offset to show what that future actually looks like.
For me, though, I really think you have to weigh the fact that the Clippers are still a for sure a better team than the Hawks, though.
I'd like to see that series.
Clippers Hawks?
Yeah. Not like in the finals, but like just I'd like to see where the scope of that series lands in terms of betting lines.
All right. Well, Atlanta, Milwaukee Bucks going into game 4. Bucks look to take a stranglehold on the series against a banged up Atlanta team. Well, specifically Trae Young. Before we do that, let's say what's up to our sponsor, No House Advantage. You know the drill. You should have checked. If you got over there yesterday, this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like I said, Zubac's over 11.5, but we talked about Zubac's his rebound prop was at 10.5.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm not sorry. Ayton was at 10.5 on No House Advantage, 11.5 everywhere else. They don't change the props over there. So he didn't hit it on any other book, but at No House Advantage, he did because he went over 10.5. You could have got Paul George at 8.5. What was the other one we were talking about? Terrence Mann.
My memory is garbage. I already talked about other props for today from the breakfast menu, so my brain is mush for whatever we talked about yesterday.
I think it was Terrence Mann, which was still a very good prop, but he was awful. So either way, you're still giving yourself just huge. it's crazy how much of an advantage you can get when you take advantage of those type of props that don't change where they do on other books. Compare them to other books. Use the Awesemo No House Advantage prop tool, the projections over at awesemo.com. Totally free. Optimal lineup tool is totally free. Everything we have over there, you don't have to pay for it ever. And of course, it's tournament style format over there at No House Advantage. It's peer-to-peer player prop betting. And it's awesome. It's very fun. The ones you like the most go at the top of your lineup. No salaries. They get the most points. The ones you are least confident in go at the bottom. And when you sign up, you use the promo code Awesemo, AWESEMO. Get a $20 deposit bonus upon signing up and depositing for the first time. Take advantage of it. There's money to be made there. You can definitely build your bankroll. And I think you will enjoy playing over there for sure. So go to No House Advantage or download it in the App Store, Google Play, wherever you'd like, and check it out today. Be sure to use those free tools and be sure to keep in mind that these props don't change throughout the day. That's where the real edge is for sure. All right, man. Milwaukee and Atlanta, the Bucks laying 7 on the road, which is kind of funny because game 2, I think there was a bit of an overreaction, right? And then they were 7-point favorites at home. Then they were 7.5-point favorites in game 2. It actually moved to 8. In game 3, right? And now still on the road, they're laying a touchdown against the Hawks on the road. So, I mean, clearly just very, very big favorites for a conference championship, for a conference finals.
That's why I'm team Milwaukee right now. I think they're dialed in. I think that Middleton probably gains a lot of confidence coming out of game 3. He was absolutely everything in that fourth quarter, outscoring the Hawks by himself.
I don't buy that.
Don't do this to me.
I don't buy the confidence thing.
What do you mean?
Like, he's a jump shooter.
Yeah. You always want to be making those jump shots. The more you do, the more you want that shot. You're certainly more confident than less confident.
I'm sure he was
confident. You tell me it doesn't matter to you, but it's certainly a positive. I'm
sure he was confident after that 38-point game against Brooklyn that he followed up going 9 for 26. I mean, come on, man. You're a mathematics guy. You're a math guy, and you're over here talking to me about he's confident.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it changes what I think he's going to do, but I'm happy that he's going to be willing to want to take those shots. If the opposite happens, you can find people that will skirt that moment and not want it anymore. I would much rather have somebody coming in hot than cold.
Totally agree with that. But Middleton has never shied away from a shot, whether he's shooting 0 for 12 or 10 for 13.
Very true.
I mean, this guy just chucks it. I remember the one game. There was one
incredible.
Game
that's because he's better than Jimmy Butler.
You're back on this?
No.
Okay. Look, I still think the Bucks are a much better team. I just have such a tough time going with this whole dialed in approach with them. I never know what to think, but I actually think this game stays competitive tonight. I do. And yeah, I do. I think the Bucks win, but I think it stays competitive. If Trae Young comes out and is fine, if we're getting reports that he's hobbled or he's not at 100%, which it's tough to know at this stage of the game, and you want to kind of conceal some of this information, but if it comes out that he's feeling all right, I think they keep this competitive. Yeah, I don't see why they can't.
I'm very heavy on Milwaukee today. If I were taking anything, it would be the Milwaukee side of this game. I just don't think Atlanta has the firepower to stay with them any longer.
All right. A lot of people said that last night about the Clippers too, but the playoffs are
this
fickle.
Guy. They are.
Yeah, did you say that? I wasn't even referring.
I mean, I really liked the Suns to just finish them out yesterday.
I was referring to Jordan. No, I'm kidding. I was referring to just the general idea that, hey, it's over. My thing is, when you have somebody like Trae Young that's healthy, you can always keep a game close. And lest we forget, right? Game 3. It ended with an 11-point win margin for Milwaukee.
Yeah.
That game was hyper competitive up until the final few minutes when Chris Middleton just went nuclear.
Yep. Absolutely. I think the biggest worry here is the fact that it's a lower body injury for Trae Young. We're talking about someone that is small in stature. If he's compromised mobility wise, that is a massive, massive problem for him because it's all that he's got. He has to be more mobile than everyone else to succeed. If he can't get to the rim, if he's a quarter step slower, that's a problem. If he's a quarter step slower getting to that floater, it's a problem. He needs to be healthy for Atlanta to have a chance. They don't have a chance if he's not at 100%.
No, oh no, then they'll get smoked. You know what's funny about this postseason? Now, I'm looking at comments in chat. It's like, Milwaukee smoked some double-digit win. This has been a postseason where public opinion has just been shit on time and time again. I mean, am I wrong? Like, how many times have we looked on both sides in the Western and Eastern Conference where what very much should happen doesn't happen, and pretty big dogs come out and win? I'm not saying Atlanta comes in and wins this game, but I am saying that we've seen just a ton of different spots where, it's a lay down spot. They're done. The firepower's gone. They're on dead legs. This can't happen. And they come in and win games. We've seen it a lot this postseason. And that's why I said that the playoffs are fickle, but this one specifically, and it's probably just recency bias on my part and not remembering, prior playoffs, because the bubble playoffs just absolute trash. And,
Whoa. Bubble playoffs were great.
No, I hate that crap, man. I'm so glad we're out of that.
I loved it. I wish they did it every year.
Why? What? I can't get into this with you. You are just like a hater of life.
No. I really like the idea of having everybody on sort of the same spot. You're going out, you're rolling that ball out, you're playing basketball in the same sort of setup over and over and over again. You're really just like everything that's on the floor is the only aspect of it. You don't have any excuses. I like that a lot, actually.
That's what you have March Madness for.
Yeah, I don't watch that garbage.
The bubble playoffs weren't trash. It was just, reminds me of a not so great time, Josh. And it's one of those things where I like seeing fans in attendance. That's all. I want to see people there. I enjoy that. Like, I enjoy the ruckus. That's all. Like, it's something about it that I just love.
I agree with that as well. I don't necessarily care that much about it if the Bucks arena is packed to the brim. You know what I mean? Like, there are definitely places where a basketball game with a packed crowd is a better experience. Full stop. I do like the aspect of crowning a champion on a neutral floor, though.
Okay. Yeah, and like I said, the actual playoffs weren't that bad. It was just my perception looking back on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But let's talk about captain spot. This is where we can get into it. The real question here is Giannis, who has been very popular in the captain spot all series, really all postseason for that matter, especially, in these showdown games. He's pulling. Am I
boring you?
Am I boring myself? Really? 96.9%.
Boring me.
What?
You're boring me.
Around 97% ownership on DraftKings, 33% in the captain spot. On FanDuel, where things are very much different. Giannis, Josh, he's projected for 100%.
Yep.
So I've been saving this for you based on our discussion yesterday. You said if a guy is projected for 100%, you would fade him.
No.
You said
if I knew that he was 100%, I would fade him. I don't think that.
Oh, I see.
I don't think that we could base it on our projections.
A solid out there. Okay.
Well, don't get me started. We're going to have to get into it in a little bit anyway. But anyway, keep going. Giannis.
Yeah. Is he the clear top captain? 77% in the MVP spot on FanDuel. Crazy.
Yeah, so I got him at 68% in the MVP on FanDuel, so I don't think that any part of that is crazy. He is the optimal captain as well on DraftKings, 12K. I have him showing up in the optimal captain spot 42% of the time, which is also heavier than the 33% we are expecting. So, yeah, to me, there's nothing else I could say about Giannis. He is the clear-cut number one play today, and I don't think that you can have an opinion otherwise.
I don't really see any alternative. The only question would be if Trae Young is healthy, can we turn to him as a captain spot player? And the thing is, I know it's very difficult to look at Trae Young and Giannis really, or talk about them in the same conversation. But Trae has had some huge games that have won tournaments in the captain spot very recently. Philly, 25, 4, and 18, 61 DraftKings points. Philly, 34, 5, 12, and 3, 66 DraftKings points. Game 1 against Milwaukee, 48, 7, 11, and 1, 76 DraftKings points. There are going to be some really big games for Trae Young. Now, do I think that the Bucks have made some necessary adjustments? Sure, I do. Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? Did you know what that was from?
Yes. I think we did this yesterday before the show started.
Did we? No, but I do it
sterile,
and I like the taste. 44 points against Milwaukee at game 3 wasn't great, but this guy's a straight chucker, and there's going to be games where he gives you 15 assists and 35 points, so can we make a decent argument for him in the captain spot, or are we just too opposed to that today? Because I think it's fine in a must-win game 4.
So obviously we have no idea how healthy Trae Young is heading into this today. Like, I'm not going to pretend that I know.
Let's assume he's healthy.
I'm sure YouTube chat's going to pretend like they stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night and know everything, but that's neither here nor there.
For the sake of argument,
I think he's a fantastic captain option. I'm treating it like I don't have any reason to suspect he's not 100%. So I have him in the optimal captain spot 23% of the time. That is basically double where we have his current ownership. So I like Trae Young a lot as of right now as a GPP captain spot guy.
The crazy thing to me, at MVP,
we can't talk. It's wrong. It's wrong. And I hate doing this because I did it the last day and I did it the game before that. I said they were wrong. That was not the case, apparently. In the previous game, Trae Young was 28% owned in the MVP, 22% in star, 4% in pro, not owned in utility. This is what I said that it was going to be 2 games, the last game and the game before that. We're not showing that in our ownership for reasons that I don't know, but those numbers are just flat out incorrect.
All right. Do you like him in the MVP spot?
I got him at 19% and 28% at star, which I think is going to be closer to what we saw in the previous games and not what we're projecting. If Trae Young's 5% owned in the MVP spot, he's the best GPP option you're going to find. If he's 14% owned in the star spot, he's the best GPP option you're going to find at the star spot. Neither of those numbers are correct.
Fair enough. They update.
There's nothing else I could say. Like, it's
well, it's fine. They update throughout. It's still extremely early in the day, so these things update throughout the day, and everything comes a lot closer as we draw nearer to lock. 8:30, by the way. Anybody else that you think is viable when it comes to captain spots? Because I think whenever you're dealing with a Bucks team, the answer is a resounding yes. I mean, Chris Middleton has that ceiling. Drew Holiday has really, really, really been quiet outside of that one game in game 1. He's been pretty quiet. But the biggest question for me isn't whether or not, you can roster these guys, but it's more so how viable is it when their prices continue to rise? Like Middleton is on DraftKings 10,000. He's in the double digits. Giannis is 12. Trae is 10.8. Holiday's 9.4. You're not really getting significant discounts on a guy like Middleton.
No, I don't like. I like Middleton. I like Drew. To me, the clear 3rd and 4th best captain options you can get to. But with Giannis and Trae soaking up so much of that captain ownership, you can only get to Middleton and Drew so much. Like, to me, their ownership is fully proper on DK. I don't have like a hot take for either one. I'd rather get to a little bit more Drew than Middleton because you save $600. On the opposite end of that coin, Drew is $1,000 cheaper on FanDuel. I think he looks like a really nice play. He's probably picking up a little bit too much ownership, but nothing crazy. He should be the 2nd most owned Buck, and depending on how you're feeling, maybe the 2nd most owned guy on the slate. Middleton for $14K on draft or on FanDuel. Also, I think properly owned. We got him right at like 38%. That's exactly where I have him. So I don't have a lot to add for Middleton and Drew. I think they are properly owned and properly priced on both sites.
We had a very easy time distinguishing value yesterday, right? Like once Zubats was out, it became pretty simple. DeMarcus Cousins, Pat Beverly was also fine. He ended up being fine. Cam Johnson, whether or not you liked him or not, was somebody that was also out there at a discounted price point. Now you're running into a bit of a different issue. It's funny because we talked a lot about Bobby Portis being back in the rotation last week for game 1, projecting that he would be. And then I was out for a bunch of days, so didn't get to talk about it. Bobby Portis wasn't only back in the rotation, but he had a really solid game in game 1 and then game 3 as well. But he's right now squarely in this rotation, especially up 2-1. I see no reason to believe that Mike Budenholzer is going to make any changes. You're talking about a +1 per minute player. Let's start with some value options with Bobby Portis first.
So I don't trust him, but 4,400 for Portis, like they're clearly leaving him out there to play. He's going to play somewhere in that 18-minute range. And there's not really any reason on Atlanta that he can't be out there. And he's a really solid offensive player. Like we know what we're getting out of Bobby Portis. I just think he's properly priced now. 29% projected ownership is exactly where I have him. So I don't have much of a take on Portis there. 8,500 on FanDuel, probably a little over-owned. But again, like he's one of the few guys that can get his own shot from like a second unit type guy. So I like him from a value play. I'm just not going to go too crazy.
Any other value that does stand out to you?
So I think Onyeka Okongwu looks pretty interesting at the flat minimum 1K. I would probably go to him. I think you could do the same sort of thing for Solomon Hill at 1,200. Bryn Forbes just isn't really getting the minutes you would expect. Pat Connaughton's already getting the ownership you would expect. The guy that I'll shout out, which is not going to be fun, but maybe he'll make a couple more passes as threes. PJ Tucker, 3,600, projected for 24% ownership. I'd be happy to be a little bit higher than that.
A couple more passes as threes. Yeah, I guess when it all boils down to it, he's going to play a lot of minutes, right? And he's not expensive. It makes me, I never feel good about rostering PJ Tucker ever. It's just a horrible feeling, quite frankly. But one thing that kind of is crazy to me is that Pat Connaughton, I understand he hasn't been particularly good, but with the amount of minutes he's played outside of that blowout where where guys like Connaughton could suffer, he hasn't seen a lot of shot volume either, but he's played 29 and 32 minutes in 2 of these 3 games.
Can you imagine if Dante DiVincenzo was still healthy?
Yeah.
Like that's such a big piece of the rotation that nobody really thinks about just because he's just that guy that kind of fits in. I'm happy to get to
but
Connaughton.
Somebody was trying to make an argument to me that injury was as impactful as the Kyrie Irving and James Harden injuries to the Nets. And I can't have a conversation with someone like that. I mean, that they literally said, they're like, well, you're talking about Milwaukee escaped this one and was gifted a series because Irving and Harden went down, and Harden, when he came back, was hobbled. I'm paraphrasing, of course. They're like, what about DiVincenzo? How do you respond to that? I guess you just respond with a mute button, right?
I mean, I would respond by saying all sorts of unflattering things about that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wasn't making ad hominem attacks, which is, maybe something that you would come with, but
who in the world is teaching you Latin right now?
You don't know what that means?
I know what it means, but I mean, you're wasting your time for this show.
What's it mean?
I don't know, man.
Means like personal insults.
Yeah, sure.
Look,
speak English, man. It's a dead language.
So I guess what I'm saying now is that you're going to get some ridiculous you're going to get some ridiculous takes. And when it all comes down to it, DiVincenzo is valuable, but I don't know. Like, okay, let me ask you that. Suns Bucks goes 7, Suns win. Suns are fully healthy. Could you make an argument that if it goes 7 and the Bucks lose, that DiVincenzo could have been the difference maker?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
But like, he's not that guy.
Right. But you can't make the argument that DiVincenzo would have been the difference maker if they, lost to Brooklyn. So
no.
All right. I don't know. Whatever.
Look, the problem is you have to start playing more like Bryn Forbes or Pat Connaughton. You end up having to play lesser players, more minutes. That's it. The margins are pretty small. And over the course of like an 82 game season, you would see it come out more, but we're talking about like one shot in an individual game. It's hard to parse that out while it's happening.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you like the mid-range at all? I feel like it's kind of ugly and they're kind of all more expensive than I think they should be.
So we're talking like the Kevin Huerter, Bogdanoviches of the world.
Yeah. The John Collins.
Yeah. So
Capella
Bogdanovich, Bogdanovich to me would be the guy that I think stands out most. Kevin Huerter, kind of close. So Bogdanovich played north of 30 minutes this last game, which leads me to believe that he's feeling a lot better than he was earlier in the series. And especially if Trae Young is hobbled, I think Bogdanovich is going to need to play those 34 minutes again. At 6,400, we have him projected for 33% ownership. I actually think that number should be more like 44. So he is the guy in that mid tier that I think is getting most underrepresented.
Clint Capella, man, let me tell you, I liked him a lot in game one. I ended up working out, but it may have just been luck on my part because he reverted right back to being that same Clint Capella that sure he has an impact off the box score, but just offensively, he has been completely non-existent. Rebounding, he's been okay, but nowhere close to where he was in the regular season. Mind you, he averaged 14 rebounds in 30 minutes. I could pull up his per 36s, but it doesn't matter. You think about this in the postseason, he's had many single-digit rebound games, and he's been playing a lot more minutes than he did in the regular season. But these last two games, and it wasn't foul trouble, one was a blowout. His minutes have been curtailed quite a bit. So what do you anticipate Atlanta doing with the rotation today if Clint Capella does see less minutes than he had been seeing in the Philadelphia series?
It's the biggest question mark for me right now.
It's gotta be, right?
Like, Ben took a John Collins prop for the breakfast menu. And I looked a long time at John Collins and Clint Capella, and I couldn't really figure out what I thought was going to happen there because I don't think they have enough bodies to not have Clint Capella play a lot of minutes in this spot, but I also don't know if he's the answer. But 27 and a half, 25 over these past two, I don't know. Like, I think they need Clint Capella to be out there for 30 plus minutes. So I'm treating it like he needs to be out there because I think that's what's best for Atlanta. And if that's the case, I think he's properly owned at right around 40%. 8K is a pretty healthy number. I think John Collins is pretty difficult to get to at 8,800 with any sort of value. I wish that these guys, we said it in the last game, I'm going to say it again here. I wish that their salaries were a little bit closer so it didn't look like there was a giant disparity between the two. And on FanDuel, Capella's $500 cheaper. I like him a lot more there. But again, I think that just John Collins is too expensive for the spot.
He seems
not that I don't like him. He's just expensive.
I think he seems wildly expensive, honestly. Consider this, right? Drew Holiday might not be having the greatest postseason, but would you rather play him or would you rather play John Collins at almost not identical, but a very similar price point?
It's not even remotely close for me. I have Drew Holiday projected for 10 more fantasy points. That is more than enough to offset $600 in salary. Right. I have Holiday in the optimal 52%. I have John Collins at half that.
So like if I told you Holiday was 9,400 and then asked you what price you think Capella is, you'd probably say, I don't know, 7,500 or something like that. Yeah. Not 88. No, Collins. If you put Collins at 8K, I think that would solve a lot of these problems. Sure. Capella down to like 7,600, something in that neighborhood, and I think that would flatten those guys out quite a bit. I'd still rather take the $800 discount on Capella over Collins, or pay the extra $600 for Holiday. Collins is in no man's land, right? He's in like salary purgatory. There's no way I want to touch something like that when the guys above and beneath him are just better values. I want to ask you about, and then I saw your super chat, T.O. Deck. Don't worry, I'll get to that in a second. Fuck it. Let's just do it now. T.O. Deck with the $50 super chat, man. He keeps putting in the work. My guys, back-to-back nights splitting first on FanDuel, and I can't thank you enough for what you guys do. Two of you and the Awesemo team are just spectacular, and the only reason I got multiple bullets live nightly. Thank you for all you guys do. Appreciate that, man. But look, you're making the lineups. You're building these lineups. You're making the right decisions, and it's awesome. So, Eric, I love this. Eric says these two low-key bicker. I don't know how many times it's like maybe we've intentionally we have. This is kind of just I don't want to call it a shtick because we definitely have many disagreements, but I wouldn't consider it bicker. I would just consider it disagreements.
Yeah, it'd be like saying that all of the shows that they run on ESPN are the hosts bickering.
Right. Like
they know what's up, and so do we.
Yeah, it would be. Although I'd say it might be tough getting off. What do you think Bayless is like? Skip Bayless is like off camera and off Twitter. Like you went out to dinner with him. Serious question. You go out to because I guarantee you.
I mean, I assume it's great.
Because I like Stephen A. Smith, and I know that'll get some hate. I would absolutely have a beer with Stephen A. Smith. I think I hear him. He comes on like Philly sports radio all the time. He's a different person. Like he's actually very personable, likable. He's so much different than he is on all of these hot take programs. You know what I mean? He's still on First Take, right, with Max.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch that garbage.
Neither do I. Do you know Max Kellerman used to be a rapper?
I do know that, actually.
Have you ever listened to his song?
I have not listened to his
He's
song.
got one on YouTube. Watch it after this show, of course. Well, you should watch the MLB strategy show. It's pretty funny, man. It's actually not that bad. I swear to God, it's not that bad.
It can't be that good.
It's not that bad. If we didn't have copyright issues, I would tell Jordan to pull it up right now. But
I've liked Max forever just because I used to watch him when he was only doing boxing coverage like 15 plus years ago. Yeah.
Look, all I'm saying, I'm not a big Max Kellerman fan either. I wouldn't want to have a beer with that guy, but I would hang out with Stephen A. And I think we'd get along. With Bayless, I don't really know about that. Like, what do you think? What do you think a bar conversation with Skip Bayless? It's just you two hanging out, having drinks. How do you think that would go?
Oh, I think it'd be great. We forget that he's like a really intelligent guy that was like a print journalist for ages, long before this was ever going to happen. We're just talking about a guy that's smart enough to understand how to milk an audience. You can be two different things. He's like, I hate the shtick. I don't want to watch it. I think it's designed for other people. I'll use that term pretty generally, but I mean, if I could go on TV and say ridiculous shit for millions of dollars, I would, because I do it for significantly less money on a YouTube show.
You don't have to tell me that you would do that. You already do. I mean,
right. I'm just trying to fill in his footsteps when he dies.
Do you think Bayless was kind of at the forefront, maybe somewhat of a pioneer in sports media, understanding the notion, especially like from a television standpoint, that by people hating you, they will continue to pay attention to you and you will continue to get paid for it? We're probably too young to know about. That's why I'm not talking radio, because radio, I'm sure there's been plenty of them over the years, right?
Well, right. That's just the natural transition. Radio became daytime television for sports, which is sort of becoming podcasting now in a lesser extent. But look, they got to fill hours. And if it means that you get a couple guys on there just saying ridiculous nonsense about, like, somebody's going to take each side of it. It's going to be a real boring show if everybody's just like, yep, Giannis is the best guy in this series. Right. Anyway, brought to you by 4 Hymns.
For farmersonly.com.
Right.
Mike, do you remember that site?
I mean, like, remember it in that I know that it existed. Yes.
Like there was a legit dating site only for farmers. That was, yeah. Mike Verderosa says the TNT NBA broadcast is the gold standard for sports discussion. I love Inside the NBA. I love Shaq. I love Chuck. Kenny's there. And I love Ernie. But as far as like sports discussion goes, it's probably the worst. Like if you actually wanted to learn something about basketball, but if you want to be entertained, I can't think of a better show than that. I mean, it's spectacular. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a terrible show for actual basketball analysis.
But it's
like hilarious. 95% of the time. Every once in a while, when they strap their like serious shoes on, like you're getting opinions from legitimate high-level NBA players, and I appreciate that. It's rarely that.
Right. I mean, Chuck doesn't know most of the players in the league.
Shaq doesn't really either.
No, and the best is the way they pronounce some of these names. Like it's kind of funny because they clearly don't do any homework. But they're so wildly entertaining, and I am all for it. Yeah, Mike, I know what you mean. I agree with you. And I appreciate everyone that said they'd rather watch this show over First Take or Undisputed or whatever. You know, I don't know. We just come in here and talk. So let's get back to the drawing board here. We talked captain MVP. We hit on the big guys, the mid-range guys, which I think we all agree many of them are just kind of overpriced or kind of underwhelming. There are some value options there that might not look very sexy, but they're there. And I want to spend one more second on Okongwu because he played 3, 13, and 9 minutes in the 3 games this series. The 13 was in a blowout. It's really hard for me to predict anything for him today. We were locked in on Cousins' projection yesterday. We said 11, 12 minutes. He finished with 11 and 15, I think it was. Fortunately, we got a good game from him. Yeah. But with Okongwu, I think it's even more difficult to figure out. What are you giving him? 9 minutes today?
8 or 9, one of the two. Let me take a look just to make sure that I'm not making it up. Props, Okongwu, 8. Give him 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Yeah.
All right.
He had some good energy at the end of in the middle of the last game. I was happy to see it.
Don't know how much of a difference that makes at this point. Who would you say if you're building an optimal lineup, right? Yeah. Let's actually, have you run it yet?
I have not, but I can. This will take 5 seconds. So,
all right. While you do it, let me pull up. Do we have anything for Hall of Fame today, Jordan?
We do.
We do?
Yeah.
Let's do Hall of Fame first. And hey, we are we're 11 likes away from 100. So if you could get us there, it'd be greatly appreciated. All right. So Jordan, let's hit this. When you're ready, we'll cue that music. We'll get to everybody that we like to brag for. We have one in here that just was a really, really nice one. There it is. If you want to get on the Hall of Fame board, do this. You want to get on the segment every day. You want to get the shout out. All you got to do is rock that Awesemo avatar. Go and download it, awesemo.com/avatar, and tweet your wins at Awesemo, HOF. It's Awesemo Hall of Fame. Mention Josh and myself in those tweets as well. Not only do you get the shout out here on the show, but you win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. It's $100 value. You got to finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, but you get the shout out. You get a free month, $100 value. Again, Awesemo projections, ownership, top stack tool, boom bust tool, lineup builder, optimal lineup percentage. And this is for, you're talking across all sports, PGA, MMA, NASCAR, golf, NBA, NHL, everything. If they have contests, we got content built by the #1 DFS player in the world, Alex Baker, Awesemo himself. That's where the tools come from. So be sure to check it out. Download that avatar, and let's shout out our boys and some ladies possibly mixed in here along the way. Michael Peterson, got to win. Thanks, Team Awesemo. Michael is definitely a loyal viewer to the show. Congratulations, Pickens 81. And then SF Ami, maybe $4,500 up top. Just seems like he had a very solid night. Congrats to you, man. Rocking that Awesemo avatar as well. Michael Birmingham, first place sliced and diced, but I'll take it. $619 win with Ayton at the captain spot. I'm assuming that was from a couple days ago, but I'll take that as well. And to close it out, Matthew Twyford. Your product is so good. I like this one. First year playing NBA DFS is a distraction, not watching games, just picking lineups and bubbling. Started listening to Loughran and Josh and reading on your site. Clearly not retiring soon off this, but winning some is much more fun. Nice little 250. I like to call it a $250,000 win, Josh.
Sure.
Download the avatar. Also,
that's some 2021 shit.
/avatar 2012. You mean? Yeah, I still can't get that right, can you? At Awesemo, HOF. Tweet your wins there. Get your free month. Hit us up. Get the shout out. We love to do this every single day of the week. All right.
By the way, my whatever the nonsense is that you couldn't say, that's TO deck.
Is it?
Yeah. Per chat.
Oh. Okay.
Huh. I'm gonna go out on a limb and not that it's gonna matter now, but you should change both of those names. They're really hard to read for us.
They are very difficult. There's no doubt about that. And I'm thinking, hold on a second. Where is it? The SF Army one?
Yeah.
Ah, but he's from Canada, so it must not be. I mean, AHMY?
Is that like a Canadian? Is that a Canadian word for
I don't know
or something?
Or like the way a Bostonite would say army.
Army.
Right? SF Army. I don't know, man. I'm trying over here. What do you want me to do? How would you pronounce that?
Wait, is that his last name? Maybe
SFAHMY.
Check chat. Oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense now. We're trying to say it like it's a word. It's a name.
Fami. Ah, got it. Okay.
And now I know where so Toronto deck 20, you get now I'm putting the pieces together. Now I get it.
And now you have Josh telling you to change your name. What an asshole.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it was different then. Now we have the information.
Oh man, what a dick. Hey, change your name, pal. Thanks for the $50 super chat. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, if I have to listen to you stumble through reading it, like I'm trying to do this for you, man.
Should have saved that money and got your name changed.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, you can't. Well, that's because you're bad at this. Kid can't even read.
Stay in school for as long as you can.
Chlorophyll.
More like borophyll. All right. So I think we've hit on most of this, Josh. I say we close it strong with whatever the optimal lineup is right now on DraftKings. I'm curious. And you know what? If you could do one on FanDuel, not going to try and trip you up here too much, but I think it's always a good way to see where we're at early in the morning and see if anything changes later in the day. Because yesterday, the optimal ran so much different after the Zubats news.
Yeah, oddly enough, it changed pretty dramatically, which you don't normally see on these kinds of slates. No, not at all. Trust me, I said it on more than. Good God, I don't know why she's getting that email, but that should be interesting. Anyway, DraftKings optimal. I don't think you would land on this one if I asked you to. So Giannis at captain. No surprises there. Trae Young, Drew Holiday, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Bobby Portis, Onyeka Okongwu.
Okongwu, huh?
In the second lineup, you swap out Drew for Middleton, Connaughton for Portis, and Solomon Hill for Okongwu. The problem here is that in order to get Giannis, I'm going to say like Giannis, Trae, Drew, Middleton, like 3 of those 4 need to be in that lineup. And to do that, you got to pay down somewhere. And that's what's going to push Okongwu up on a day like today.
What's the first lineup you come across with Trae at captain?
Let's find out. He wasn't in the top 5, that much I could tell you. Let's see. Giannis, Trae. Number 8. Trae Young, captain. Giannis, Middleton, Drew, Solomon Hill, Okongwu.
Okay. So 4 really good players and 2 bad players.
Double pay downs, yeah. Probably a cash
MJN
lineup.
says, I just captained John Collins because you guys are usually wrong. Well,
awesome, man.
If that is the case, then here's what I would advise. I would advise watching the show, still hitting the thumbs up, because our wrong opinions, you just can take the opposite and win. So we're still benefiting you every day. Yeah. If that's the opinion, show some love. At least we're still helping out. You've caught on to us. I always love the people, and this isn't what he said, but I always love the people that are like, you guys give out bad information on purpose to sway ownership and hit your own lineups. I don't know why I bring this up. I don't know why I do this to us, but first of all, us giving out bad information is the most disadvantageous thing we could possibly do.
Yeah.
With a company like Awesome. Like,
obviously we want you to come back.
Right. Let's give out bad information so people never come to the site and stop watching the shows. Come on. Not to mention that we have no impact on ownership. Like, you know how many people are in these contests?
Yeah, it's the bigger piece for me is that, and this is the part that they probably just don't understand. If you think that I want to do work that's useless, you're out of your mind. The idea of like having to plan to say the wrong stuff is insane to me. I barely want to do the right stuff.
That's a great point. You would have to do double research, like 1 for your own lineups, and then 2 to actually pick out the bad plays.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to do that. That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. That's all right, man. I don't care who's here. We appreciate all of you. Hit that thumbs up. Get us to 150 while you're at it. That'd be even more appreciated. And if you haven't subscribed yet, trying to get to 60K by the football season. And if you want to join the channel, hit that little join down there. Become part of Team Awesemo. We love all the badges, the emojis, and all the good stuff here. But I will say this much. We've wrapped it up about 4 minutes till the hour, Josh. It's going to be 95 degrees here today. Just oppressively hot, brutally hot. Okay.
Like actual temperature or like a real feel types?
No. 95 actual degrees today.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. It's not going to be fun at all. But I hope you guys stick around throughout the day. We got a lot of great content coming up. The ownership projections for Showdown slate today are free. So is the PGA Top Golfers tool. So be sure to check them out. You want to join the real Awesemo family over at awesemo.com. Go to awesemo.com/join. Whether you want to do a weekly, monthly, annual, one sport, all sport, even just Showdown Express slates for NBA with other stuff mixed in along the way. Get all the Showdown ownership and all the Showdown projections and tools. Do that for less than $5 a week. There's a million different things that you could do over at awesemo.com, no matter what your budget, no matter what you're set up to play, and no matter how seriously you take this. Check it out. Like I said, the tools built and used and won a lot of money by using them by Alex Baker, Awesemo himself. So we'd love to have you over there and join the premium Slack chat as well, the office hours where you got the pros at Awesemo taking your questions and helping you out. Just a lot of advantages to signing up and hanging out with us. And you know what? You want to keep watching for free on YouTube? Works for me, baby. That's fine too. We love all of the YouTube community as well. It doesn't matter where you are. We're going to be doing this back again tomorrow on the Strategy Show presented by No House Advantage. Don't cut it yet, Jordan. Josh, any plugs for shows today?
Yes. So obviously you and I just did this one. Contenders videos are already out. Breakfast menu should be out in the next hour. Our best bets for this one, myself and Ben. We both went 1 and 2 yesterday, but look, if you're giving 3 bets on a given day, you're going to see a lot of 1 and 2s. I promise. Don't get discouraged. We're still both up on the history of the show, and PGA Contenders getting recorded today. Not entirely sure if that's going to come out later tonight or tomorrow morning, but that will be our best bets for the Rocket Mortgage. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And then you and I back live before lock later tonight.
Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Peace.